Morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
All right. You're welcome. Now, if you look at the time, it's already time. So very quickly, let us pray. In Jesus' name. Father, Lord, we thank you. We appreciate you for another new day. We give you all the glory and honor. As we go into this class this morning, grant us wisdom, understanding. At the end of this class, let your name be glorified. In Jesus' name, we have prayed.
Don't let me.
Amen.
Once again, you are all welcome to the class. In our last class, we looked at, who can remind me of the topic we treated in our last class, even though it was not live? Derek, can you remind me of the class, of the topic we treated in our last class?
So values.
Values. Very good, values. All right. So can you quickly tell me what is value, Derek?
So?
Value. What is value?
So I don't know.
Yes, Derek. Treasure. On
Yes,
your
sir.
video. On your video. Esther, on your video. Derek, I'm listening. Oh.
So values are behaviors that are found in.
They are what?
They are behaviors or characters that are found in a person.
It's okay. You have tried. Obina, what is value? Obina, what is value? That is a topic from our last class. Obina, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is value?
Values are like characters or attributes of a person.
Okay. You're all welcome once again. Today, we're going to be looking at a new topic, as you are seeing it on the slide. And the topic is human trafficking. Human trafficking. I believe human trafficking is not new to you. But as a way of reminder, let us see what human trafficking is. And to do that this morning, we'll be looking at some contents. We'll be looking at what is the meaning of human trafficking, the causes of human trafficking, the effects and consequences of human trafficking, government and individual efforts to stop human trafficking, and also what are the measures that are in place to stop human trafficking. So very quickly this morning, because of our time, let's see what is human trafficking. Human trafficking can be defined as an illegal act of recruiting or trading persons for the purpose of commercial exploitation. It is an illegal act. That's the first thing you need to know. Human trafficking is an illegal act of recruiting and trading on person for the purpose of commercial exploitation. So the process or the act of recruiting humans for the purpose of either getting money or enslaving that particular person is known as human trafficking. Human trafficking is an infringement on the fundamental human rights of those that are trafficked. You agree with me that as a human, you have some fundamental human rights. And one of your fundamental human rights is your freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of expression. Now, the moment these fundamental human rights are denied, then it has become human trafficking. So human trafficking is an infringement on the fundamental human rights of those that are trafficked. Why is it an infringement? Because the normal things are not in place again. At that point, you are at the mercy of the person that is trafficking or the person that is trafficking the other person. You do not have a right or any right to yourself again. It is what you are asked to do that you do. Why? Because you are being trafficked. So it is an illegal act. That is why that first slide, that first paragraph is saying it is an illegal act of recruiting and trading of persons. Now, according to George Bush, the former president of the United States of America, he said, human life is the gift of our Creator, and it should never be for sale. According to the former president, just like you have seen, human life is the gift of God. God is the creator of life, and because he has given this gift, it should never be on sale at any point. And as such, if human trafficking occurs, then it is going against what the Creator has created. So human life is so very, very precious and important. Now, in human trafficking, there are a group of people who are the victims. There are a group of people who suffer this human trafficking. And those that fall in this group most often are children, women, young girls, sometimes boys or men, for the purpose of making economic gains. Not only that, it is also a means of finding cheap labor and also for sexual exploitation. Now, if you follow the history of those who have been trafficked, you agree with me that one of the things that happens is that the person that is being trafficked is used for economic gain, one. Secondly, it also means that that person is being used for cheap labor. And in the case of girls, young girls or women, it is for sexual exploitation. So that is majorly what human trafficking is all about. You agree with me that there are a lot of people that will traffic people. And when these people are trafficked, it is either they are telling you that they have a greener pasture for you, they have a better life for you, they have a better job for you. And it is only when you get there that you discover that it is different from what the case is supposed to be. What is the purpose of human trafficking? What is the purpose of human trafficking? The purpose of human trafficking is making economic gains, finding cheap labor, and also for sexual exploitation, just like I have mentioned earlier. The person that is telling you that he has a greener pasture for you in another country is going to benefit because he's not just taking you there for fun. that he's planning your papers, he's taking you to another country, it is not for only you to benefit. He also would benefit. Also, the person that is trafficking you is taking you there so that you can be used as a means of cheap labor. And in case of the women, it is for sexual exploitation. Most often than not, you are not told that you'll be taken there for sexual exploitation. It is when you get there, you will discover that it is not actually a greener pasture, but it is for you to be sexually exploited. Now, if you look at the slide that is before you, the victims are made to believe that they will be sent to schools, they will be sent to schools, secure well-paid job, engage in lucrative business overseas, which will improve their standard of living. Now, that is the picture that is being painted to you. That when you are taken outside of the shores of Nigeria, you are sent to school, you will get a good job, you also get a lucrative business overseas. Now, all these things is a picture that will be painted to you that your standard of living will be improved. But when you get to the actual place you are going to, you will discover that that is not the main reason why you are being trafficked. And that is why it is called human trafficking. Now, as a point to be buttressed, the victims will soon find themselves doing degrading jobs, such as domestic works, child labor, forced labor, prostitution, begging, and even getting married to someone maybe you don't know or someone you don't even love at all. That is what is called servile marriage. Servile marriage is getting married to someone that you don't love or somebody you have never known before. And in a longer run, you might even be sold out to a fake husband. So that all these are the effects of what human trafficking can cause. Very, very important. Now, what are the causes of human trafficking? What are the causes of human trafficking? Number one, abject poverty. Poverty means the state of being poor, without money or means of taking care of oneself and the family. Now, we have said earlier that human trafficking is an illegal act. But you agree with me that in as much as it's an illegal act, there are people that will tell you that they don't mind. They don't mind whatever will happen because they cannot live with the poverty level. They will agree to anything that is displayed or anything that is told them. Is that clear? So poverty, because they are poor now, they tend to take anything. They tend to agree to whatever anybody is telling them because they are poor. Now, when there is poverty in the land, the citizens will be ready to do anything in order to survive, whether it is legitimate or illegitimate. Now, when you are poor, you don't have money to take care of yourself or your siblings or your families, you are ready or you are prone to do any business or anything anybody is presenting to you. You wouldn't mind whether that thing is legitimate or illegitimate. So that is one causes of human trafficking, abject poverty. When you don't have the money to take care of yourself, then you are open to anything that comes. Number two, causes of human trafficking is greed. Greed. What is greed? Greed is the excessive desire to acquire money, material things, and other possession to the detriment of others. There are very many people that are greedy. They have a desire, but the desire they have is excessive. And because it is excessive, they are ready to do just anything in order for them to get those things that they need. Greed has continued to lure traffickers into this illegal business, despite efforts by individuals, government, and organizations to stop this menace. There are people that will tell you, I don't mind what would happen. I just want to go out of this country. There are people that will tell you, I don't care what I will do. I just want to have money. That is greed. So it's an excessive desire to acquire money, material things, and other possession. Now, if you are greedy, you are not contented with what you have part-time, then you are prone to being trafficked. Because those that are involved in this human trafficking business, they will come and tell you what you want to hear. Why? Because you are greedy. And because you are greedy, they will tell you what you want to hear. And when you are told what you want to hear, you are ready to do anything. Even if it is illegal, you are ready to do anything. And the government on their own, and also individuals, are trying as much as possible to ensure that it is not so. Any question before we move on? Any question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Another cause of human trafficking is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. What is low self-esteem? This is a situation where one has little or no confidence in oneself. You agree with me that there are people that believes it is only when they go out of this country that they will be successful. They have this conviction that it is only when they travel out that they can be successful or they can be rich. They don't believe that in this country they can be successful. So when one has a low self-esteem, it can result in human trafficking. Because low self-esteem often leave one with the feelings of inferiority complex, such that one will be ready to do anything or any kind of job that is offered to you. So when you have a low self-esteem, you are ready to do anything, including if somebody wants to traffic you outside of this country. But when you have self-confidence in yourself and in your ability and in your skills, then you should know that no one can confuse you or tell you negative things. Corruption is another cause of human trafficking. Corruption. What is corruption? This is the moral breakdown of the societal norms and values or system, such that wrong things is done in place of right things for personal gain. Corruption. Now, when a system is corrupt and the resources of the country is not evenly shared, the resources of the country is not evenly distributed, then people will see wrong things for right things. A country where the entire system is corrupt will find most of our citizens in the business of human trafficking. Because the country is corrupt and the resources are not evenly distributed, you see people doing anything and do whatever in order for them to be successful or in order for them to be rich. So when a system is corrupt, it affects. When a system is corrupt, it affects the way people view issues. So a country where the entire system is corrupt would find most of her citizens in the business of human trafficking. If you have seen or heard those that are involved in going out of this country however they want, you agree with me that they pass through a lot of things that cannot be imagined, all in the name that they want to go outside of this country for greener pasture. One major cause is corruption. Another cause of human trafficking is political, social, and economic instability. When a country is politically, socially, and economic unstable, it is a sign of poverty, unemployment, low standard of living, and all this will lead to human trafficking because the citizens would like to travel in search of a greener pasture. What are we saying in essence? What we are saying here is when the economy of the country is not stable politically, socially, people tend to want to go out where they believe that they will be okay. I told you that there are people that believes that there is no good that can happen in this country. And as it were, they would want to do anything in order for them to be rich. They want to do anything, whether they will go through the legal means or illegal means, as long as they are out of this country. So that is another cause of human trafficking. Also, gender and racial discrimination is another cause of human trafficking. When there is discrimination against women and Black people in any country, such categories of people involved would like to travel out in search of peace, affection, and better opportunities. This situation will give rise to human trafficking. Now, when there is a racial discrimination, when there is gender discrimination, especially against women and Black people in any country, people want to move out. People want to move out of those areas. Why? Because when you are not recognized in an environment where you find yourself, it will lead to a situation whereby you become like a slave in your own country. And all these things are things that will lead to human trafficking. So gender and racial discrimination can also make human trafficking to occur. Also, war or armed conflict. During wars, many people fall victim of human trafficking. Why? Because they do not have where to go. Maybe they don't have food to eat. They don't have house to stay, no clothes to wear. As it were, they would want to survive. And if they must survive, then they will be prone to people who are involved in this trafficking business. Human trafficking thrive in war situation. The warring country may import war machineries, some of which are children soldiers. You see during wars, you see very little children, children of not more than 10, 12, or 13 years already handling gun. All these are the effects of human trafficking because it is a wartime. The children are vulnerable. The children are open to anything that comes. And those that are ready to provide those utilities or facilities to them, they dictate what will happen to them. Before you know it, children that are minors are already carrying weapons. Children that are underage are already into wars. So that is another major cause of human trafficking. Also, another cause of human trafficking is rise in demand for cheap labor in foreign countries. Rise in demand for cheap labor in foreign countries. Now, you agree with me that in other climes or in other developed countries, they have this idea or belief that they need to traffic other people from other countries so that they can involve those people in cheap labor. What do we mean by cheap labor? Cheap labor here is talking about people doing a lot of work and you pay them very little. That is cheap labor. People do very big job, they do very unhuman jobs, and you pay them little. That is cheap labor. The rise in demand for cheap labor, such as factory workers, house help, hotel waiters or waitress, messengers, both at home and in foreign country, usually give rise to human trafficking. Those that are involved in human trafficking, they come to you and tell you that we have a better job for you. Unfortunately, when you get to those countries, you begin to do menial jobs like factory workers, house helps, messengers, babysitters. Those are the jobs that you do. And it is said that when you get to those countries, because it is said that when you get to those countries and you do a little job, you are being paid. So rise in demand for cheap labor in those foreign countries is what is giving birth to human trafficking. Now, what is the effects and consequences of human trafficking? What are the effects or consequences of human trafficking? We have said human trafficking is an illegal business. It is against fundamental human rights. And because it is against fundamental human rights, there is an effect. There is consequences. And what are these consequences? Human trafficking has effect on its victims and also the society at large. So you need to know that human trafficking does not only affect the person or the victim, it also affects the society where that victim is found. These consequences ranges from physical, social, economical, and psychological. All these effects are what affects or it amounts to the consequences of human trafficking. So it affects the physical being, it affects the social aspect of the person, the economical aspect of that person, and also the psychological aspect of that person is affected. Number one effect of human trafficking is death. Death. Children and women who are trafficked suffer many physical damages, which often results in death. Now, we have said it that the victims of human trafficking are children, male and female, young boys and girls. And when they are trafficked, the result is that it may result in death. You can imagine someone who is being trafficked and he is carried through the desert for a very long time without food, without water, without clothes, adequate clothes, without adequate arrangement for the person to move to another country. In the process, many of them die on the way. And the process of being trafficked out of this country, many of them, they die. So when children and women are trafficked, they suffer physical damages, which often results in death. Imagine an 8-year-old child that is being trafficked, that is being used for house help, that is being used as a slave. If that person or that child cannot take that pressure, it may result to death. Secondly, another effect of human trafficking is unwanted pregnancy. Unwanted pregnancy. The victims of human trafficking often get unwanted pregnancy, which could also lead to abortion. Imagine you are being taken to a place and you are being used as a sex tool. That is part of human trafficking. And when you are being used as a sex tool, it may lead to pregnancy, which you are not even ready for. And when you are not ready for this pregnancy, you might want to abort. The person might want to abort. And when the abortion is taking place, it might also lead to what? To death. So when they get unwanted pregnancy, it may lead to abortion because they are being exposed to all sorts of sexual activity. A lot of young girls have been taken out of this country to countries like Italy, where they are being used as prostitutes. And when they are being used as prostitutes, they get unwanted pregnancies. So it is a consequence. Stigmatization. Stigmatization is another consequence of human trafficking. The victims of human trafficking are treated in such a way that they are stigmatized. No matter the money made, especially by the women involved, they are usually not respected in the society. Now, when somebody who is trafficked is known, there is this aspect of them that the society, there's an image that the society is created in the society. Why? Because it is assumed that the person has been trafficked. So no matter the money that you are making, no matter the fame that you claim you may have, because you have been trafficked, the respect in the society is no longer there. So there is stigmatization. Imagine somebody that is raped, and the society knows that this person was raped. You know that rape itself is stigmatization. So the person will not be respected again in the society. The person will not be treated with utmost respect that that person deserves. So stigmatization. Physical and sexually abused. The person who is trafficked is physically and sexually abused. Most victims of human trafficking are sexually exploited, in that the people who have sex with them pay them little or nothing, and the bulk is paid to their boss or the traffickers. Can you imagine somebody who is transported out of this country for the sake of prostitution? You are the one that is the victim. The bulk of the money is given to the person that is transporting that person, while you or the person that is being trafficked is given little money. So the person is physically and sexually abused. That is another effect. Most of the victims of human trafficking are most often than not sexually exploited. Also, another consequence of human trafficking is psychological trauma. A victim who is trafficked is psychologically affected. The psychological effect of human trafficking leads to retardation and emotional distress in the life of the victim. Someone who is trafficked cannot remain the same again, especially if you are involved in prostitution, in slavery, in negative jobs that is not edifying someone. You cannot remain the same again. You cannot remain the same again. That's just the truth. Because you are not doing a normal thing. And because you are not doing a normal thing, or you are not following a normal process, the things that will be happening to you psychologically will not be normal. Another consequence of human trafficking is health risk. Health risk. A trafficked person is exposed to all sorts of illness and diseases, as some of them are contacted, and they also spread sexually transmitted diseases, especially HIV and AIDS. A victim who is being trafficked into prostitution, that person comes in contact with all manner of people. And before you know it, the person may be exposed to sexually transmitted diseases. A very good one is HIV and AIDS. Forced abortion is another consequence of human trafficking. Victims of human trafficking who get pregnant are usually forced by their masters to go for abortion. Sometimes such an act often leads to abortion complications, which could result to destruction of the womb and even death. Someone who is into prostitution, there is no way you can get pregnant. Anytime it is discovered that the person is pregnant, you are forced to abort. And when you abort, these abortions sometimes may lead to the destruction of the womb and also the death of the victim. So human trafficking, however you want to look at it, is an illegal act, and it is something that we should all condemn in entirety. It should be condemned. So human trafficking is a very, very bad ill in the society. Mental problem is another consequence. Most trafficked persons often end up mentally ill. They often end up mentally ill due to physical, emotional, and psychological trauma they pass through, arising from dehumanizing treatment meted to them. Now, you agree with me that every victim of human trafficking is affected one way or the other, whether physically, mentally, or socially. Anyone who is being trafficked cannot remain the same again. You cannot remain the same again, especially if what you are involved in is a negative thing. You'll be affected mentally, you'll be affected physically, emotionally, and also psychologically. Also, consequence of human trafficking is prosecution and deportation. Any country that a human trafficked person finds himself, as long as you are not a legal citizen, you are open to prosecution, and you are also likely to be deported from that country. A trafficked person often suffers prosecution and deportation because they are illegal migrants in their host country. They are sometimes arrested and prosecuted by the law enforcement agents in their country after they have returned home. So you are faced with two challenges. One, in the country where you find yourself, and when you get back to your own country, you are also arrested. Why? Because you are deported, and the offense that you are being deported for, you are also being arrested and prosecuted for those offenses. So they are sometimes arrested and they are prosecuted by the law enforcement agencies. So that is also another effect of human trafficking. What are the efforts of government to stop human trafficking? What are the efforts of government to stop human trafficking? Human trafficking is a global menace that has received global attention, particularly in the formation of conventions and treaties relating to prohibition of human trafficking. As it were, in Nigeria, there are agencies like NAPTIP, like Whatclef, like WOCAN, and also IFWL, Amnesty International. These are agencies that are making efforts daily to eradicate human trafficking. You know what is NAPTIP? NAPTIP is National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person. We also have non-governmental agencies such as Women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation, Whatclef. You also have Women's Consortium of Nigeria. Then you have the International Federation of Female or Women Lawyers. All these are agencies that are responsible for the eradication or prevention of human trafficking. You also have other agencies, just like you have it on the slides you have before you. How do you prevent human trafficking? How do we prevent human trafficking? Number one, public enlightenment. The people should be sensitized on the effect of trafficking and how not to be deceived by empty promises of the traffickers. There should be public enlightenment. It is not every promise that is true. It is not everything that looks juicy that is actually juicy. Like there's a popular saying that says, it is not everything that glitters that is gold. Some things that are painted as gold to you, in actual sense, may not be gold. So there should be public enlightenment. Also, the people should be educated. Quality education should be made available and affordable in our communities. This can be achieved by building more schools, employing qualified teachers, and provision of adequate instructional materials. Legal solution. Government should ensure that there is legal framework that will recommend stiff measures and punishment for those who involve in these social problems. So there should be a legal sanction for everyone who is involved in human trafficking. Also, the government should equip and strengthen NAPTIP, which is the National Agency for the Prohibition of trafficking in person with the responsibilities of dealing with human traffickers. Also, the youth should be empowered. When the youths are empowered, there will be no need of you looking for greener pastures. When the youths are properly empowered, everyone will be empowered, and there will be no need for looking for other means by which to enrich themselves. Cooperation also with other countries of human trafficking. Now, very quickly, in this class today, we looked at what is human trafficking. We also looked at the purpose for human trafficking. Now, David Ijale, what did I say is human trafficking?
So I wasn't here at the beginning of the class.
Okay. Based on everything we have been saying now, I believe you should be able to say something.
Yes, sir.
I believe you should be able to say something. So very quickly, what do you understand as human trafficking?
So this is the illegal act of endangering human life in order to gain profit.
Okay, that's very good of you. Okay. Now, there is an assignment for you. I believe you can see the assignment on the slide there. Please take down the assignment and ensure you do this assignment and send your answers to my email address, which I believe you already have. Hello?
Yes, sir, we have it.
Yes. So please do the assignment and ensure you send the answers to the email address. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Please,
You said? I'm not hearing you, please. Hello? I'm not hearing you.
Please, your email.
I didn't hear you.
I said, please, your email.
It's okay. That's the email there. Can you see it now? Hello? The email is displaying now.
Thank you, sir. Let me copy it.
I didn't hear you.
I said, thank you, sir.
Okay, okay. That person that is writing, we can see you continue writing on the screen. Blessed, you are the one, Abi.
No, sir.
I saw your handwriting.
Sir, where? Sir, do you even know my handwriting?
Yes, now I saw it on the screen.
Sir, it's not me, please. Sir, it's not me. Sir, it's correct.
It's all right. Any question, please? All right. Any question?
Sir, please go back to the assignment.
The assignment.
I will go back. Sir, please go back to the assignment. I have to complete. Guy, blessed CME. Guy, I'm not catching.
Rams, why they laugh?
Shut up.
You vandalizer, you're very stupid.
Okay, that's the assignment there. That's the assignment. Thank you. See you in the next class. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Whatever, bye.